Welcome to another YouTube video. We're going to do a little bit of hip opening today, a little bit of strength work, just a general all-round kind of body strengthener, body opener. So starting off in a seated comfortable position, whatever that is for you. If you prefer to kneel or if you like your legs out in front of you, just find a place that is comfortable. Sitting on a block if the hips feel tight, or a blanket or a pillow. And softening the shoulders down your back, allowing the crown of the head to lift. So we're not dragging the shoulders down, we're just making sure there's no tension there and that they're nice and relaxed. Close the eyes, and if you don't like to close your eyes, just take your gaze down to the ground in front of you. Hands rest on the thighs, and they can be palms face down, or they can be palms face up, whichever suits you best. And take a few moments to just find a little bit of stillness at the start of your practice. It's a transition time between whatever you've been doing in your day and coming to your yoga practice. So it's a time that we start to let go of everything that we have going on. We start to draw the awareness inside. So you might become aware of all the physical sensations that you can feel in your body. Any areas of tension. Become aware of how you're feeling emotionally. And just having an awareness of any thoughts that are moving through your mind. But remembering that yoga is a mental discipline, really. So we work our physical body, but we work our physical body in order to be able to focus the mind. So what is more important than whether you can touch your toes or whether you can hold a pose for 5 breaths is your inward focus. Yoga is all about focusing on one thing. We use our breath and our body in order to help us to find that focus. So even if you're not doing the poses, just sitting here watching your breath is yoga. Aware of the rise and the fall of each breath. Allowing the belly to relax and just finding as much of a natural breath as you can. Almost just allowing your body to breathe itself. Take 3 more breaths here. Following your next exhale, gently take your chin down towards your chest. Float open the eyes and raise the gaze. And then from here, keeping the spine nice and long, take the chin back down towards the chest and gently roll your right ear over towards your right shoulder. Bring the chin back in towards the chest, and then we'll roll left ear over to left shoulder. And just work through a few of these. So maybe the inhale brings you to centre and the exhale rolls you off to the side. Or maybe you're working with it the other way around. It doesn't matter as long as you are working with your breath. The next time you bring your right ear back over towards the right shoulder, we'll keep it there, and then we'll extend out the left arm. Reach out through the fingers. Release your arm back down, chin back in towards the chest, and then from there, left ear over to left shoulder, and we can extend out that right arm. Stay with the movement of your breath. And then dropping the arm back down, bringing the chin back in towards the chest. And then as you inhale, lifting up the chin. Okay, we're going to come over onto all fours. So just taking your hands, your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, finding a little bit of space between your fingers. And if you do need to, you can either fold up the middle of your mat and take your knees onto that for a bit of added padding, or you can grab a blanket and pop it underneath your knees. So a few rounds of cat and cow. Inhale, lifting the chin and the tailbone. And as you exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the tailbone, chin to chest. Inhale, draw the heart forwards, lift the chin and the tailbone. And as you exhale, round your spine, chin to chest. Couple more, just move in your own time with your own breath. After your next exhale, come back through to a flat back. Bring your big toes together, knees a little bit wider than hip width apart, and we'll find our way into Utthita Balasana, our extended child's pose. So child's pose can be really active or really passive. We're going to make this one really active. Lengthen your tailbone out behind you and creep your arms out in front. And then come back through to your breath, looking for length through your spine. Just one more breath. And then from there, we'll come back up onto all fours. So if I turn around, we're going to start to circle the right knee. So this circling action can be as big or as small as suits you. And just gently drawing in the lower abdomen to support the spine as you work. Take your knee back in the opposite direction. And then we're going to lift that right knee out to the side. So your knee's going to move up towards hip height if you can, and be in line with your hip rather than out behind you. You can stay there, or you can straighten the right leg out for a little bit more, if that feels okay. Gently press the ground away from you. We'll take 3 more breaths. 3. If it gets too strong, just bend that knee again. 4. 5. Right knee comes back down onto your mat. And then we'll do the other side. So as you inhale, we're going to start to circle through that left knee. And we'll take it again back in both directions. And then lifting the left knee up again so it's hip height and in line with the hip. And the option is there to straighten out that leg if that feels okay. Keep the spine nice and long. Gently draw in the lower abdomen. That's 3, 4, 5. Bend the left knee. Bring it back down onto your mat. Take your hands a little bit further out in front of you. Tuck your toes and find your way into a downwards facing dog. And then just pad out your feet here. Find a little bit of movement. Maybe give the head a little bit of a shake. Just taking a few moments to find your way into the pose, into your body. And then when you're ready, as you next inhale, ripple your spine forwards through to plank. And we'll hold our plank for 5 breaths. If you need to drop your knees down onto the mat, do. 1. We're not lifting the tailbone. There's not a curve of the lumbar arch. Almost tucking your tailbone underneath. 2. 3. Still breathing. 4. 5. So you can drop your knees down onto the mat, or you can work with them lifted. Roll slightly forwards on your toes or your knees and lower yourself all the way down onto your mat. Hands out to the sides. As you inhale, gently ripple your spine up into a back bend, and as you exhale, come back down. Inhale, gently ripple up, exhale back down. Couple more. And the head and the neck are just moving kind of almost in opposition to the spine. So just following on with the movement rather than instigating the movement. We're going to hold it here, 3 breaths. Reach up through the crown of the head, draw your heart forward. 1. 2. 3. Exhale, gently come all the way back down onto your mat. And then from there, we're going to bring our forearms underneath the shoulders. It's almost like you're shortening the front of your body. So you start to draw your navel in towards the spine. We'll tuck the toes underneath. If it feels okay, we're going to lift the pelvis. And you can work there with the knees down, or you can lift your knees as well. 5 breaths in your core plank. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Knees down, pelvis down, draw the heart forwards, a little bit of a back bend. And then as you exhale, come all the way down, hands underneath your shoulders. As you inhale, come up onto all fours. Hips back towards the heels, like you're going for child's pose, but at the last minute, we'll tuck our toes and come back through into our downwards facing dog. Gently draw down through your heels. If your hamstrings are tight, keep a little bit of a bend in the knees. You're looking for a flat back rather than a rounded spine. And then as you inhale, start to walk your hands in towards your feet. Once your heels are down on the mat, we're going to hook onto the opposite elbows. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Couple of breaths here. So allowing the crown of the head to release down. 1 more breath. And then releasing your arms, bending your knees. Take your hands through to your waist, and as you inhale, we'll come up through to standing with a flat back. Okay, and then step your feet together at the front edge of your mats. So feet can be together or slightly apart. And then finding Utkatasana, our chair pose. So as you exhale, sinking the hips and taking your arms up alongside the ears. Just drop the hands down to the waist if there's any shoulder issues. Coming back to your breath. Weight in your heels in this pose. Take 1 more breath here. And then as you inhale, you pick up the right foot and step it back into Virabhadrasana 1. So we're going to ground that right foot, just your feet as you need to. Right shoulder gently draws forwards, and you can look forwards or you can take the gaze up. Again, just finding your drishti, your gazing point, coming back to the breath. Pressing the little toe side of your right foot gently down into your mat. And then as you inhale, we'll open up to our right, Virabhadrasana 2. So if you look down, left heel is pretty much in line with your right instep. We're not dropping the left hip down, so the pelvis is kind of staying even. Gaze to your left middle finger. Strong and steady legs, but we're not rigid. There's an ease in the muscles. And then coming through to Practised, you can take your left forearm to your thigh. The shoulder issues, right hand to the waist, or you can reach the right arm out over your ear. And if you want a deeper version, we can take the left hand down to the floor. Almost like you're trying to draw that left hip underneath you. Again, fixing your gaze on one spot. And strong legs. One more breath. As you inhale, we'll come back up through Virabhadrasana 2. Drop your right hand down onto your right thigh, left arm reaches up. Keep the bend in the left knee. And then from there, as you inhale, we'll straighten out the legs. Sorry, the arms. We'll straighten that left leg and parallel your feet. And I'll just turn around the other way so that I'm facing you. Clasp your hands behind your back. Roll your shoulders back and down. Lift up through the heart space. Soften your knees. And as you exhale, fold forwards. So keep the knees bent if the back of the legs is tight. If you can straighten the legs, then do. You might just see if you can find a little bit more movement in the shoulders. See if you can release the shoulders a little bit more. Keep drawing in the lower abdomen. Lengthen the crown of the head down. And the tailbone up. Take one more breath here. And then as you inhale, soften your knees. Bring yourself back through to upright. And then turn your toes to face out and have your heels in. Hands through to the heart space. Long spine as you inhale. As you exhale, we'll bend the knees and come through into our goddess pose. You can close the eyes here, or just take your gaze down somewhere in front of you. Try not to let the knees roll in. There's just keeping some weight in the little toe sides of the feet. The more you come down, the stronger it's going to become. If you need to lighten this, just straighten the legs a little bit and then come back when you can. We'll have 3 more breaths. 3, 4, 5. So inhale to straighten again. Parallel your feet, release your hands, and then step your feet back together at the front edge of your mats. Okay. Same sequence, other side. So as you exhale, sinking the hips, coming back through into Utkatasana, chair pose. Again, weight in your heels. If you feel this in the lumbar spine, maybe just tucking the tailbone under a little bit might give you a little bit more space. Again, staying with the breath. We'll take one more. And then we're going to step that left foot back behind us, Virabhadrasana 1. So don't assume you've landed in the right place. Ideally it's right heel in line with the left heel, but it might be more comfortable if you step the left foot out to the side a little bit. Draw your left toes forwards enough that you can bring your left shoulder forwards. If it's comfortable for you to bring the hands together and take the gaze up, you can do, but equally you can have the hands apart and you can just look forwards. Shoulders are soft, there's no tension in there. Again, don't try and drag them down, they are lifted, but there's no tension. Take one more breath. And then we'll open it up to your left, Virabhadrasana 2. You glance down, your knees pointing in the same direction as your toes, strongly grounded through both legs. Again, but the softness in the pose, always a balance between effort and ease. Let's take one more breath. And then Practised. Again, you can take your right forearm to your thigh, or if it's available to you, right hand to the floor. We're not sticking the bum out behind us, it's almost like you're trying to draw your right hip gently in towards the midline of your mat. If it's not good for your neck to look up, then you can look down. Take one more breath. Inhale, back up through Virabhadrasana 2. And just a couple of breaths in your reverse warrior. Left hand down, either side, alongside your left leg. Right arm reaches up. Keep the bend in the right knee, so you're just really stretching into the right side body. And then inhale, back through Virabhadrasana 2. We'll straighten the right leg, lower the arms, and parallel your feet. We'll find a twist from here. So long spine as you inhale, soften the knees as you exhale. Right hand to the floor. If you need a block or a brick or even a book, take your right hand to that to bring the floor to you. Left arm will reach up towards the ceiling. Extend out to the crown of the head. Again, any issues with the shoulder, you can always keep your left hand to your waist. Try and keep your gaze fixed on one spot to help that focus of the mind. And then as you exhale, we'll bring that left hand down, we'll swap it over. Ground down into the left arm. And then as you inhale, right arm lifts. Lengthen your tailbone out behind you. Still gently drawing the lower abdomen. One more breath. And then as you exhale, bring that right hand down. We'll soften the knees, hands to the waist, and inhale to bring you all the way back through to upright. Okay, toes out, heels in. Hands back through to the heart. Keep the spine nice and long. As you exhale, bend the knees. So one option is to stay here. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can fold forwards, take your hands to the floor. If it feels okay, maybe you can come up onto the balls of your feet. Maybe you can take your arms out to the sides. Again, keep breathing. Think strong body. I can is what should be going through your head rather than I can't. One more breath. Bring the hands back down onto the mat. We'll bring the heels back down. Keep the spine long. Come back up, hands to the heart. And then from there, we'll straighten the legs, parallel the feet, and step your feet together at the front edge of your mats. Okay. Inhale, take the arms up, take the gaze to the thumbs. As you exhale, we'll fold forward. So bending the knees if you need to, hands to the shins or the floor. Halfway lift as you inhale, and then as you exhale, hands down. Let's step the right foot back behind us and bring the right knee down onto your mat. So coming up into Anjaneyasana. Again, if you need some padding underneath that right knee, a blanket, or just folding up the side of your mat is a good option. Squeeze in the inner hips and the thighs, draw your hips forwards. And then we'll take the right arm up alongside the ear, lengthen there, and as you exhale, just gently tip over to your left hand side. Breathing into the right side body, creating some length. And then as you inhale, come back through to upright. I'm going to bring that right elbow to the outside of your left thigh. So finding our prayer twist. So you press the arms together, the hands together. Right elbow gently presses into the left thigh, so you can lift the chest a little and then you find your twist. You could stay there, or if you want to add on, you tuck your right toes and lift your right knee away from the mat. And a little bit of a squeeze of the inner thighs. Take one more breath. And then if you lifted the right knee, bring it back down onto the mat. Bring both hands to the inside of that left leg. So option one is to stay here. If you feel you can do, you might come down onto your forearms. And if it feels okay, you could again tuck your right toes and lift your right knee. Keep the spine nice and long. Try not to let that left knee Wing out to the side, so you're gently drawing the knee in towards your left shoulder. Take one more breath. And then as you exhale, bring your right knee back down onto your mat. Come back up onto your hands. So we're going to think about starting to take the left arm and thread it underneath that left leg. So as much of your arm as you can gets underneath that left leg. If you could get the shoulder under there, you would do. Hands down to the floor. So you could just stay here. You might choose to tuck your right toes and lift your right knee away from the mat. If that feels okay, you could see if you could press your left leg in towards your upper arm and start to lift that left foot. And if you can, right leg lengthens up behind you. And then you can come out of the pose the way you went in, or you can float that left leg back behind you, having moved through Ekapada Kundinasana. Couple of breaths in your downwards facing dog. One more. And then soften your knees, look forward, step or jump your feet forward between your hands. Halfway lift there. As you exhale, fold in, head to legs. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands through to the heart center. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing other side. So inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale to your halfway lift. Exhale, hands down. And then this time, left foot steps back. We'll bring the left knee down onto our mat, untuck the toes, Anjaneyasana. Again, padding for that left knee if you need it. Squeeze in the inner thighs, draw your hips forwards. Left arm reaches up alongside your ear. And then as you exhale, just gently tip over to your right hand side. Keep squeezing the inner thighs in towards each other. Bring some stability, some strength into the pose. And then come back through to upright, we'll find that twist. So left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Hands to prayer. Again, it's a little bit of a lift of the chest away from the thigh, and then you find your rotation. If you're wobbly, keep looking down. If you've got your balance, gaze is up and beyond your right elbow, and you have the option to tuck your left toes and lift your left knee if that feels okay. Keeping the breath flowing. Just take one more. And then we'll bring that left knee back down. Both hands to the inside of your right leg. So again, you can stay on your hands or you could drop down onto your forearms and lift your right knee. Left knee. Your right knee is gently drawing in towards your shoulder. Take one more breath. We'll bring the left knee back down onto the mat, come up onto the hands, and then I'm going to turn to face this way so I can show you the other side. So thinking about starting to take your right arm underneath that right leg. And if it's just the hand that goes underneath there to begin, then that's fine, and you just stay there. If you can get a little bit more underneath, you can do. You can remain there, you can tuck your left toes and lift your left knee away from the mat, and if it's an option, we can start to bring up that right foot in front of us. You could stay there, a couple of breaths, and then come out the way you went in, or you can bend your elbows, chaturanga arms, left leg floats up. And then you can take both legs back out behind you, back through into your downwards facing dog. Couple more breaths here. If you want to just pad out your feet, have a little bit of a stretch, do. And then when you're ready, if you take your gaze forwards, bend your knees, and we're going to step or jump through to seated. Okay. So we're just finishing off a little bit of hip opening here, a little bit more of an arm balance. So, and again, you can sit on that block if you want to lift up the pelvis a little. Bring your right foot in towards your groin, turn to face your left leg. Long spine as you inhale, and as you exhale, folding forwards for Janu Shasana. Bend that left knee if your hamstring is tight. If you've got a belt and you want to take a belt around the ball of the foot and hold the belt, then you can do. And we're all the time coming back to your breath. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to release it down. Lifting up that right leg now. Right foot's going to be down on your mat. Shin is vertical, there's a gap between your right foot and your left thigh. Right arm reaches up on the inhale, and as you exhale, you fold forwards. So option one is to stay here. If you can comfortably reach your foot with your right hand, you internally rotate your right shoulder and see if you can bind your hands behind you. So if you can, you would take a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. If not, maybe you're just going to hold on to your fingers. From there, as you inhale, you lengthen, and as you exhale, you fold forwards. So your left sitting bone is grounded, and your right sitting bone is lifted. Each inhale lengthens your spine, each exhale takes you forwards. And then as you inhale, come back through to upright, and as you exhale, release it out. Okay. So you've got two options. If you've got the mobility in your hip, we'll move in a little bit deeper. But if your hip is quite tight and this is enough, then you will bring your hands to the floor. If you've got bricks or blocks, you can take your hands onto your blocks. You press down into the hands, into that right foot. Maybe just going to see if you can lift your bum. Maybe you can lift that left heel up as well. And we'll have a couple of breaths there. If there's a bit more mobility, we'll see if we can bring our right leg again as high up that right arm as you can. So same as when we were in our lunge before. You're trying to get that shoulder underneath the right leg. You're going to press your right knee in towards the shoulder, engage to your centre, and maybe you can lift up here. Couple of breaths. And then exhale, we'll bring it down, and we'll straighten out that right leg. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So you'll bring your left foot in towards the groin. Lengthen as you inhale. Soften the right knee if you need to. Think about keeping the back as flat as you can. And folding forwards into Janu Shasana. Just holding the shin, the foot, wherever is comfortable for you. Awareness of each breath you take. And then as you inhale, halfway lift, exhale to release it out. So left foot now is, sole of the foot is down, vertical shin, gap between your left foot and your right thigh. Left arm lifts as you inhale, as you exhale you fold forwards. You can stay there, or if you can internally rotate that left shoulder, you'll wrap your left arm round the shin and see if you can hold on to your right wrist or your right fingers. Inhale to lengthen the spine again, and as you exhale, folding forwards. Try and keep the shoulders soft, not punching up around your ears. Let's take 2 more breaths. Back through to upright. So option one, again, would just be to keep the left leg where it is and lift up there. Option two, if you can open that hip a little bit more, we're trying to draw the left leg as high up the left arm as we can. Just draw in the lower abdomen. And then from there, if it's an option, lifting up. Again, keeping breathing. One more breath. Hard to speak when you're up here. And exhale, release it down. Okay, straighten both legs out in front of you. Give them a little bit of a wobble. Paschimottanasana. Long spine as you inhale. Think about your pelvis tilting forwards. So you're hinging at the hips, not the waist. And again, you're holding maybe the shins. You can hold your big toes. You can hold the sides of your feet. Each inhale lengthens your spine. And each exhale takes you forwards. Again, try and keep the shoulders soft. Just take 2 more breaths. And then as you inhale, halfway lift, exhale to release it out. Okay, so you've done some forward bending. Let's complement that by doing some back bending. So we're just going to lie ourselves back down on our mats. Bend your legs, have your feet about hip width apart. And then as you inhale, we'll press into the feet and just start to gradually lift up through the hips, through the spine. You can, if it feels okay for you, take your hands underneath you, but if not, just keep the palms facing down. Keep the feet fully grounded, so you're pressing down big toe sides of the feet. And if it feels okay, we'll take the right leg up towards the ceiling. 3 more breaths. 3, 4, 5. Right foot comes down, release your hands with control. Spine comes back down onto your mat. Let's take a breath. We're going to do that one more time on the other side. Press down through the feet. As you inhale, start to find that lift. The option is there to clasp the hands underneath you. And you can just stay here, just gently drawing the heart space towards your chin. Or if you want to, left leg lifts. 3, 4, 5. Bend the left leg, bring the foot back down first. Release your hands. Slowly, with control, spine comes back down to your mat. Check in with your breath, and then just very gently, keeping the legs wide, just windscreen wipe your knees from side to side. And then next time we bring the knees over to the right, we'll just gently keep them there. You can turn your gaze out to your left. Just have a sense of grounding through the shoulders. As you next inhale, the head and then the legs will come back through to center. And as you exhale, knees out to the left and gaze out to the right. Staying with the breath. And then as you inhale, bring your head back through to center, bring your legs back through to center, and then draw your knees in towards your chest. A little rock from side to side. Just lengthen out the spine. And then we come into our relaxation. So if it's comfortable for you, we'll straighten the legs out. Arms alongside you, palms facing up. If you prefer your legs bent, then you can just bring the knees in towards each other and work with the legs bent instead. Close your eyes. Come back to the stillness that we started with. Allowing your muscles to soften. Your face to soften. Just a sense that everything widens and releases. Breath flowing. And I'm going to leave you here. I would stay at least another 3 to 5 minutes, and if you have longer, then stay for longer. Namaste.